Christmas brings a touch of holiday magic into the lives of people all over the globe. But that holiday spirit often seems to pass by the homeless and the hungry. In the Twilight Zone episode Night of the Meek, Rod Serling brings those less fortunate through the doorway between the ordinary and the uncanny to a place where holiday magic and a touch of cosmic intervention are available to everyone, even those with a front row seat to life's biggest disappointments. What if a department store Santa found a bag that produces your heart's desire? Would it be enough to help the people who need it most? You're listening to Real Stories, Real Problems with Rachael and Roxanne.
Hi, Rachel. How are you doing today?
Good, Roxanne. How are you?
Oh, I love this episode of The Twilight Zone so much. I'm so happy when you suggested it. I mean, 23 minutes, I went from horribly depressed to overjoyed to hopeful. It was absolutely wonderful and certainly one of the most famous episodes. People who aren't even into The Twilight Zone generally know the plot of this one.
Yes, this is such a fabulous episode. And typically we talk about documentaries, but occasionally we'll throw an episode of TV in there, and there felt like no better option this month.
100%.
So yeah, this episode was filmed in 1961. And do you want to tell us what's going on in 1961?
A lot of things, actually. It was a big beginning of a big decade. First, the Berlin Wall was actually finished construction in 1961 by East Germany. John F. Kennedy was inaugurated as president. Soviet cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin became the first human to orbit the Earth. That was when the American U-2 spy plane with Gary Towers was shot down in Soviet airspace, escalating the Cold War. But most important, the first episode of Doctor Who was aired, to the future joy of Whovians everywhere.
Yes, that was the first step in the long string of actions that needed to happen to bring David Tennant into our lives.
Yes.
And so, you know what? Even if you're not a huge fan of Doctor Who, you still got to be thankful for that.
Absolutely. Joanne, this is yours, okay? If you're listening, Joanne, hi. David Tennant. Yes.
But yeah, so this episode, it's episode of The Twilight Zone. It's called Night of the Meek. And it opens with a inebriated store Santa. And not like a high-end Macy's store Santa.
No, this is a bedraggled, mangy, crawled out of the gutter Santa. Yeah.
Yeah. He's sitting at a bar, and he is drinking his way through his pain.
Right.
And he has a sandwich, and he's got like 6 shots. And our notes say that 6 drinks and a sandwich costs $3.80 in 1961.
It's a beautiful thing.
And so, like, he's dealing with this, and little kids are pressing their faces up against the window of the bar, knocking on the window to say hi to Santa.
Right, who's completely hammered and doesn't even want to deal with it. Right.
And the guy playing Santa, the actor, I don't know his name, but the character was Henry Corwin.
That was Art Carney of the Honeymooners fame. Wasn't it freaking brilliant?
The one that I pegged was the department store owner, Mr. Dundee. That was the guy who was the voice of Piglet.
Yes, John Fiedler. Yeah, there were lots of great character actors.
But yeah, so Art Carney is playing Henry Corwin. He's playing Santa Claus.
Right.
And he is dealing with life's problems by drinking. And he even goes, like, the bartender turns around to do something, and he reaches for the bottle. And the bartender grabs his wrist and says, "I will break both of your arms up to your shoulder blades
if you try that again."
Yeah. So he's trying to deal with this, and he walks out of the bar into the world of snow, which, given when it was filmed, we know that was powdered asbestos.
And all the actors probably got mesothelioma later in life. Right?
They need to call one of those attorneys on TV with a
right, exactly. Class action lawsuit from 60 years ago.
But Henry Corwin wanders out into this snowy world, and there's 2 kids there, and he leans down and he asks what they want for Christmas, because they're talking to Santa. Of course, you gotta play the bit.
Do the thing. Mm-hmm.
And they asked for a job for the dad
Yeah.
and for a big turkey for Christmas dinner. And the little boy asks for a gun. At multiple points in this episode, little boys ask for guns.
Guns, yeah.
Which I don't think that would fly today.
Oh, no, certainly not. No, you can't even buy a toy gun anymore. Right.
But yeah, so they're talking to him, and he just starts to weep because these children are asking for things
Right.
that should be standard in any household. Your dad should be able to have a job. You should be able to have, a Christmas dinner, whether it's turkey or ham or whatever it is you're doing. Or
Last episode when we talked about Santa camp, I don't think they ever addressed the issue of what a Santa should do if a child does ask for something metaphysical like that. For food or shelter or to bring a dead grandparent back. I mean, this must happen.
it has to happen, and they have to have
Sure.
training of how to answer those questions because they know it's coming.
Of course. And they can't burst into tears in the middle of Macy's, so.
No, so there has to be answers to this. If you are a professional Santa, please let us know.
Oh, absolutely. Drop a comment. Yeah.
Because we would love to know, how do you answer that question for a child who just wants mommy to stop drinking or just wants daddy to find a job or just to ask for the big things that you have to say you can't bring.
Right, exactly.
How do you answer that?
Ugh.
But so he's standing there, he's holding these weeping kids, and he's got to let them go because he's got to go back to work. He's on his break from Santa-ness. It's his professional Santa-dom.
Right. And that scene was positively Dickensian.
Yes.
And seeing Art Carney, who's of course was a wonderful comedic actor, physical comedy, and on The Honeymooners, weep. And I mean, he was so talented, really. I wish he had done more dramatic roles.
Yeah, he was very good in this.
Yeah.
And he goes back to being Santa, and as he's climbing the stairs to get to his Santa chair, he's stumbling, and he's very clearly been drinking. And then the worst mom and the worst kid come up there, and this kid who looks like he's about 17.
Right, yeah.
He doesn't look like a child.
He almost shaves. Yeah.
He comes up and he says, "What's your name?" And the kid says, "My name is Percival, whatever." Yeah,
Percival Smithers.
Percival Smithers. And he goes, "What do you want?" He goes, "A new first name."
Shut the fuck up, Percival.
And the mom is harassing them in the distance, and so the Santa stands up, he's trying to do something, and he falls forward into a package. It's like a big pile of packages.
Yeah.
And the mom freaks out and grabs the store owner, who happens to be the voice of Piglet,
Right.
and tells him, "I'm never coming to your store again. You hire drunk Santas. That's not okay." And so Santa is fired.
Yes.
As he would be, and reasonably should be.
Yes, certainly. Right.
And he gives a speech, and I went and I found it so I could include it here.
You found the whole
I
thing.
found the whole
because I was just
speech.
typing and I didn't get all of it. Okay.
So he says, "I can either drink or I can weep, and drinking is so much more subtle. But as for my insubordination, I was not rude to that woman. Someone should remind her that Christmas is more than barging up and down department store aisles and pushing people out of the way. Someone has to tell her that Christmas is another thing finer than that. Richer, finer, truer, and it should come with patience and love, charity, compassion. That is what I would have told her if you had given me the chance. I don't know how to tell you, Mr. Dundee. I don't know at all. All I know is that I am an aging, purposeless relic of another time, and I live in a dirty rooming house on a street with hungry kids and shabby people where the only thing that comes down the chimney on Christmas Eve is more poverty. Do you know another reason why I drink, Mr. Dundee? So that when I walk down the tenements, I can really think it's the North Pole, and that the children are elves, and that I'm really Santa Claus bringing a bag of wondrous gifts for all of them. I just wish, Mr. Dundee, on one Christmas, only one, that I could see some of the hopeless ones and the dreamless ones. Just one Christmas, I'd like to see the meek inherit the earth. And that's why I drink, Mr. Dundee, and that's why I weep."
Oh, chill. Absolutely chill.
And the thing that stopped me in my tracks to the point where I had to pause it to tell Roxanne, we need to write this down and talk about it, is when he says, "I just want one Christmas where the meek shall inherit the earth, the camera focuses in on a young African-American child who's standing there waiting to see Santa,
Right.
which in and of itself is a rare thing. In the 1960s, there were not a lot of African-American people on TV, or if they were cast as like a maid or a train car
Order in it all.
yeah, like that kind of thing. They didn't get like, I'm a normal kid standing in line to see Santa. But the reason that stopped me was because of the origins of the Twilight Zone. Do you know why?
I do not. No, do tell.
So Rod Serling in 1955, after the grisly murder of Emmett Till, created a stage play, like a screenplay, because he was so outraged by this injustice. He felt the need to put this on TV, and he took it to studios, and they all said, we can't do this. The racists in the South are going to be on our ass. We can't put this on TV.
Yeah.
And so Rod Serling sat down and figured out that he could impart those same lessons through sci-fi. And so the Twilight Zone was created to give voice to those people who need it, to point out the injustices and the hypocrisy in society. This was created as a way to address the society that condoned the murder of Emmett Till.
Wow.
And so it is not an accident that in that moment, on that sentence about the meek inheriting the earth, that they focused in on the young African-American child. That was purposeful on Rod Serling's part.
Brilliant. And of course, Rod Serling wrote the screenplay for this, and he's, he was also Jewish. So he too experienced this sort of discrimination, and seeing Jewish people on TV being portrayed stereotypically, as cheap and miserly, and he fought in World War II in Europe. So he saw a lot. Wow, I did not know that about Emmett Till, and that is amazing.
Yeah, so the entirety of the Twilight Zone was to give voice to the voiceless.
Yes.
It is the wokest TV show that ever has existed.
Right.
If you watched the Twilight Zone in the 60s when it was originally airing and thought it was fine, and today you look at it and think of it as woke, you need to understand that is because you have marched rightward in your politics, not because the Twilight Zone has changed. It was always written as a kind of leftist progressive
definitely
push for everything.
Definitely.
So yeah, that moment was so poignant, even more so because I understood where it was coming from.
And I've seen this episode 100 times, and so of course I've seen that scene 100 times, and my not knowing it until today, wow, a whole other level, whole new level of understanding.
But yeah, so after this, Henry Corbin is kicked out into the street, and he is stumbling about, and he kicks a bag that a bunch of empty cans fall out of it. And as he walks by, he turns around and sees it, and those empty cans have turned into gifts. They're wrapped packages. And so he immediately bends down and picks up the bag and shoves the packages back in, and he is gonna be Santa.
His whole demeanor changed. Once he had that bag on his shoulder, he's straightened up. He's walking tall and shouting, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas, everybody. Hey, kids, come. Oh, absolutely.
And the very first place he goes, or I guess the first place we see him go, he may have been other places that we didn't know, but he wanders into what is clearly a Salvation Army mission.
Right, rescue mission.
And it is the woman with the Salvation Army on it and the cape, and she's playing the piano, and she is singing about Jesus to the homeless and the hungry and the addicts that are there, because that is what that has always been, is a conversion tool, not a helping.
She reminded me of when I played Sarah in Guys and Dolls. I had to wear that exact costume.
But these people are all there. They're at the mission. Clearly, they're waiting to be fed,
right?
Because that's what you're there for.
But you have to sit through the Jesus stuff first.
Yeah. And so Henry bursts through the door, and he's got this bag, and he starts handing out gifts to everyone. And this bag produces your heart's desire. Once you ask for something, it is in the bag to give to you.
Yeah.
And this works for everybody. One guy asks for a pipe and a smoking jacket.
Right.
And one guy asked for a cane, or he didn't even ask for anything. He just looked at him and he knew.
He knew he needed a cane, an elderly man, right.
And
this is where we saw my other favorite character actor, Burt Mustin. And you all know Burt Mustin. You don't even know you know him. He's the old guy. He played the guy who Edith Bunker brought home from the nursing home. He played the old guy in the Brady Bunch episode where Bobby idolizes Jesse James and his father was killed by Jesse James. Trust me, you know him. He was always 1,100 years old.
He is in literally everything that was produced before about 1975.
Mm-hmm.
He's in The Lucy Show. He's in Gunsmoke. He is in all the things.
Yes, right.
So, if you've seen anything that was produced before 1975,
there's an old guy in it.
He was in Miracle on 34th Street. He was in like all the things. Mm-hmm. So he comes in,
right.
And we're seeing like all of these people being given all of these gifts, and the bag never empties.
Nope.
And he's trying to talk to the woman who runs the Salvation Army mission. He's like, "Do you need a new dress?" And he's pulling a box out, and she runs out into the street. She's off to find a cop because, of course, this is all stolen goods. Because
yes, a homeless person wouldn't have all this sort of stuff, right?
Yeah, and so as far as she's concerned, he robbed a store and is giving stuff away. And honestly, even if he had, he's giving stuff to the homeless, and that, like, could you let it go and let the store deal with that later?
Considering she was just howling about the miracle of Christmas, and here is an actual freaking Christmas miracle in front of her, and she immediately shuts down, you know?
Yeah. And so she goes out and she gets a cop, and he comes in, and they drag Henry and his magic bag out, and they bring him to the police station. And they call the owner of the store where he was fired, because the assumption is that he has stolen thousands of dollars worth of goods from the store where he was employed, and that's how he has stuff to give.
Right.
And so Mr. Dundee, the store owner, is standing there and he's yelling about this. And so Henry puts the bag down, and the moment he lets it go and he's not touching it anymore, it's not magical.
Mm-hmm.
And so the police officer and Mr. Dundee go to take stuff out of it, and they're pulling out empty can after empty can, and then a cat comes out of the bag.
A howling cat who does not want to be in the bag anymore.
Literally let the cat out of the bag.
Right. It was so funny.
And so then they're standing there talking about, well, how can this be? This was full of presents. And then Mr. Dundee makes a offhand comment of, well, what's in that bag for me? Do you have a bag of cherry, some kind of alcohol from
1903? From 1903.
And he goes, yeah, that's a good year. And he reaches into the bag, pulls out the bottle, and hands it to him. And Mr. Dundee reads the card, and it says, to
Mr. Dundee,
Merry Christmas, Santa. And it's exactly what he asked.
Exactly.
And so then the cops have to let him go because the bag of evidence is not evidence.
Right.
And clearly they've just witnessed like a miracle, because there's no way. He just had this 1903 bottle of cherry brandy
name on it. Right.
So they kind of are just like, this is confusing. We're going to let you go and go do your thing. And when he leaves the police station and he's got this bag, he runs into a group of kids, and they're all shouting for presents, and he's got all the presents that they're asking for. And one kid keeps yelling for a gun, and he's like, here's a baseball bat.
Right.
And I am not giving you firearms.
Right.
It seems like a poor choice.
Santa's responsible. I like that.
But yeah, so he's giving all of this stuff away, and then he gets to the bottom of the bag. The bag is empty, and he sets it down, and he starts to walk away. And I immediately said, why is he putting down the bag?
Mm-hmm.
Like, clearly, hold on to that bag.
God. Well, he made his wish, though.
Yeah.
His wish was that he wished he could do this every year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so then as he's walking away, he rounds a corner where the alley where he normally would, like, I don't know, hang out or sleep or whatever. Because he says he has, like, a room and a tenement, but it's not in it. And there's a sleigh and reindeer. And an elf pops out from behind the thing and says, I'm so glad you're here. We need to get to work right now so we can do it again next year.
Right.
And he's so drunk, and he's like poking the elf.
Right.
Like, are you real loud?
Yeah.
And so he gets in the sleigh and he he shakes the reins and the reindeer take off. And then we go back to the police officer and Mr. Dundee, who are looking up in the sky. And Mr. Dundee says, "Did you see that?" And the policeman says, "I don't want to tell you what I saw. You might think I was drinking on the job." And then they talk about how they actually saw
Right. Corwin.
Corwin flying away on a sleigh with an elf.
And I love that Dundee is a little drunk now, too, because he's been tipping the bottle that Corwin gave him. So,
yeah. And then it closes with Rod Serling.
Let me read this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rod Serling's outro is beautiful here. He says, "A word to the wise, to all the children of the 20th century, whether their concern be pediatrics or geriatrics, whether they crawl on hands and knees and wear diapers or walk with a cane and comb their beards. There's a wondrous magic to Christmas, and there's a special power reserved for little people. In short, there's nothing mightier than the meek, and a Merry Christmas to each and all."
Yeah, this is such a heartwarming episode, and the Twilight Zone is not always heartwarming.
No.
Most of the time, it points out the monstrosities within you and tries to force you to turn inward and look at the negative things about yourself that you should change.
Right.
But in this one, part of that was maybe don't be a dick and be mean to the homeless people who are trying to do a nice thing and all of that. And maybe be aware of the difficulties people had around you. But overall, it was very heartwarming. It was lovely to see this group of people who otherwise would not have had anything get what they needed.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily what they wanted, even though they all wanted these things.
Right.
But it was, except for the pipe, it was all needs. It was coats, it was toys, it was, that kind of thing.
Sure. And it was interesting, none of the homeless people asked for like $1 million or a new house or even a job, because how could he pull that out of the bag? They wanted things that made them feel normal again.
Yeah.
Now, these men were not homeless their whole lives. I'm sure they all did have jobs. They probably have families that no longer want anything to do with them. Christmas is excruciatingly lonely for people with no families. Absolutely lonely.
And so it was lovely to see this kind of addressed in this real way. And it is difficult to think about how hard the holidays must be for people who don't have everything that the typical American family has.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And not just like in family, but to not be able to afford to get a tree, to not be able to afford to throw together a big Christmas dinner,
right?
To not be able to have people come over or go over to somebody else's house and be part of a party. Like,
right.
We don't think about all the things that are standard for the holiday that are really not available to everybody.
No, certainly not. There's such an emphasis, on the socializing, the family, the feasting, the drinking, and it can be very, very overwhelming. And if you can't afford to give your loved ones presents, that is devastating. I know this from experience, honestly. It's absolutely devastating. You feel like you don't belong, that you don't deserve Christmas. That's what I've been dealing with homelessness. Last 2 Christmases, I felt I don't deserve Christmas because I can't participate to the level that the capitalist society that we live in is insisting that I do.
Well, and we all sit through church services or deal with, there is this pressure of Christmas is not about the stuff. And then the second you walk away from the people giving you that message or the individual situation where it's that message, it is all Christmas is about the stuff. If you can't buy your wife a new Lexus, you're a horrible person.
Oh my God.
Put together this huge meal that costs $300 to feed 15 people.
Exactly.
You're a bad person. You don't do Christmas right.
Exactly. If you don't give your wife diamonds on Christmas, you're a lousy husband. I personally would be furious if my husband bought a freaking Lexus without my consent. I would not be the wife that walks out to the driveway and sees the Lexus with the big bow on it. And oh no, there would be a stern lecture.
Well, and the thing about those commercials is that is 98% of people don't have enough money for that to be an offhand gift.
Right, exactly.
That you need to talk through and make sure that, the person getting the car has test driven it and it's right for them. And even then, that's not even the whole of it. People give pets as Christmas gifts, and people give like jewelry as Christmas gifts. And there is this deep internal need to give more and more and more. And we, for the last 2 Christmases, my whole extended family, I finally was able to convince them, can we make gifts for one another?
That's wonderful.
Because we buy each other all of this crap, and I bet you none of us standing in this room right now could say what the other person bought us for Christmas last year.
Yeah.
It just, we try so hard to buy things that end up being forgettable, or worse, get regifted back to you, or like that kind of thing. And so it is one of those things where I finally was like, can we just make gifts? And everybody agreed, and it's been fabulous. It's been the best thing. It is now our new tradition. And
wonderful.
Even still, within the making gifts, I can tell that it's problematic, because my husband will come in and see we've got like this pile of, well, last year we did soaps and lotions and lip balms and things like that we made all. And he was like, this is great. It's not enough. What else can we do? What else? And I have to be like, no, this is it. This is enough. But it feels like it's not. It feels like if you're not spending all of this money to give these big things, that you are doing something wrong, because that is what the capitalist class has pushed through every TV commercial, through every song, through every, it's all about what are you giving and what are you getting, and that you should be like, the tree should be piled huge.
Oh, I know. I mean, yeah, sure. When I was a little kid, you know, after our Christmas Day, I'd call my friends, what you get? What you get? And then we'd like make the plan. We're going to go to this house first and play with this. Then we're going to this house and play with that. But the gifts get less and less important the older that you get. And every year on Facebook, and I've seen this for like as long as I've been on Facebook, my classmates that are in their late 50s like me, they now, a lot of them have very young grandchildren, and they're going out of their mind because they want, you know, I have to give the grandkids all these expensive video games and all these electronics. They're competing with the other two, you know, the other grandparents, you know, who can give the most expensive gift to the 9-year-old, you know, or the 5-year-old. And it's when I see how much they're spending, thousands and thousands of dollars out of guilt and pressure. Some of these people are on fixed incomes now. You know, it's ridiculous.
It really is. And if you go back through history and you look at like what people got for Christmas, it used to be you got an orange, you got a small gift, maybe you got some like nuts or some other type of snacky candy type thing. You got a couple small gifts, and that was it.
That was it.
Christmas was the going to with your family, to go to dinner, to spend time with these people, and the tree, like,
and figgy pudding. Don't forget the figgy pudding. Yeah,
and even that was manufactured, because originally Christmas, at least in the United States, I don't know how it was other places, but originally Christmas was, let's go taunt the rich and make them give us things to shut us up.
Right.
And when I say this, like, this is legitimate, and the rich actually worked together to change the way we view Christmas. They brought in like Washington Irving and other famous writers and stuff to create an idea of what Christmas should be.
Yeah.
That you should be at home with your family, not at my house harassing me because you want some figgy pudding and I should bring it right now.
Yes, I should bring it right now. Right, exactly.
But like when they, you know, the scary ghost stories and Christmas is all around, like Christmas used to be about different things, and it has changed over time in our culture because we let it be shaped by the wealthiest among us and the people who want to use this as a chance to have you spend money at their businesses. They've reframed it so that if your tree does not have $6,000 worth of presents under it, that you are a failure of a person and you have ruined Christmas.
Right.
And that's not okay.
No, absolutely not. There's way too much pressure. And, you know, and then, of course, every year we get the war on Christmas. Keep Christ in Christmas. Happy birthday, Jesus.
Well, and that's fine. I love that people have this religious connection to Christmas. That's awesome. You hold on to that. Don't make me adhere to your religious beliefs. If I say happy holidays to you, that is not my way of saying screw your God. That is not my way of saying there's 55 holidays between November 1st and January 15th across, multiple cultures.
Of course.
Whichever one you celebrate, enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not offended in any way when whatever people say to me, I don't care.
But even like you've worked retail, you've been through the Christmas, hell that is working in a mall.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yes. Having to wear antlers and the little uniform and everything. And, we were told we have to say happy holidays. But just because, I was raised Christian, my default answer is Merry Christmas. It's muscle memory. It is purely out of habit. And fortunately, I've never had a customer get all in my face about it. Now, if somebody is obviously of the Jewish faith, if they're wearing a Star of David, or if they're purchasing, Hanukkah candles, then I will say Happy Hanukkah, and they'll give me a big smile. But if you're offended, if somebody says something to you, then you don't get what Christmas is supposed to be for anybody.
Yeah, if somebody wishes you joy, and you're like, you didn't wish me the right kind of joy, you're a bad person.
Right, yeah.
You need to rethink everything about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you need to sit down and watch the Twilight Zone some more.
Right. Yes, exactly. Absolutely. Sure.
But yeah, it's so difficult. And the focus of this episode being on those who have not was so important to me. And we see a lot of that kind of thing of, movies about people who are stuck in a bad situation and then the magic of Christmas solves the problem.
Mm-hmm.
But this wasn't even that. Like, these people got a present,
right,
or two, some of them, but he didn't change their world. He didn't he wasn't bringing them jobs or money or houses or anything. And the only person who got a different life out of this was him, because he wished to be Santa.
Right, exactly. But he was also giving them dignity.
Yes.
You put on a new smoking jacket with a new pipe, or have a new anything. Maybe this was just a little push that some of these homeless men needed to make more of an effort. Maybe then they go on and pass that to somebody else, that same joy.
Or maybe they just don't look homeless, and so people will be nicer to them.
Yeah, sure.
It's so to see the focus being on these people, and not that the magic of Christmas is going to save you, but that you are deserving of joy because you are a person, and not because of something about who you are or what you believe.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that was really incredible here, because so many times, and especially if you watch the Hallmark Channel, every freaking one of the 8,000 Hallmark Christmas movies, it's rich people who are dealing with this thing, and then, oh no, there's a bad thing, and they're going to lose their job or whatever, and then the miracle of Christmas shows up, and then they get to stay within their wealthy.
Right.
Very rarely is it anything else. Like, I've seen one Christmas movie that I thought was freaking hilarious and amazing, and everybody should watch it, but I don't remember the name of it. It was Nicole Eggert, who I don't know if you remember her. She was in Charles in Charge and Baywatch, and she's a lovely blonde woman. And she is in an impoverished family. She can't work because they have 3 kids, and she's dealing with that. And her husband doesn't make a ton of money.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes to a Christmas party at like an art gallery and runs into her ex, who is very wealthy.
Oh.
And then she does the It's a Wonderful Life of how would my life have been different had I married him. And then she goes home and she's digging in the clothes dryer and manages to fall through it into an alternate dimension. A rich life that she would have had. And so she gets to see that life wouldn't have been necessarily great. She would have had more stuff, but her husband wouldn't have loved her. He was having a different problems. And so she gets to the end and realizes that she needs to get home, and she realizes she needs to crawl back through the dryer.
That's great.
It was one of those things that I was like, this is so stupid, but it's so fun.
Does she emerge through another dryer in a mansion now? Oh my God, that's great.
The housekeeper is standing there like, Mrs. whatever your last name is, why are you in the dryer? Get out of the dryer.
It's like, I'm playing Space Castle. Leave me alone.
But yeah, so outside of there are very few situations where people realize that, it's not about maintaining the wealth. It's not about the money. It's about other things in media in this way. And so this was so well done.
It was.
And there was no value assigned to you based on how much money you had in this show. And in fact, the people with money were kind of dick faces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Dundee was, but see, I get Mr. Dundee's point. You cannot have an intoxicated, bedraggled.
Oh, yeah. No, that's not the dicky thing. Because clearly Santa shows up drunk.
Right.
You've got to let that Santa go. But I'm showing up, but you clearly were stealing from me. You were in the store. Did you notice thousands of dollars of missing items?
Right.
Like, you showed up to accuse this guy of stealing from you. You didn't even check to see if you were missing anything.
Exactly.
You just assumed. And like the cop who we commented reminded us of a friend of ours.
Yes. Who was a cop in real life and has played a TV cop as well. He's played a cop on TV, so that's really fine. He looks just like him.
But the cop is there, and you can tell he's just trying to do his job, and he's trying to be a nice guy. But what did he do? You have no proof he stole anything. You're coming in based on a random accusation from the Salvation Army lady.
Right.
And assuming it's all stolen, you have no proof of anything. Nobody filed any kind of, like, I don't know. It's not a claim. That's insurance. That's my world. But, you know, nobody filed a
report.
Yeah, a police report.
Or complaint.
Nobody filed a complaint about all my stuff is gone.
Yeah.
And so you're arresting him on the idea that he couldn't? Like, what?
Exactly. How do you know this stuff is from your store? Do you even sell half of this stuff? You know, and I'm sure the cop didn't want to work on Christmas Eve anyway, you know. He was probably wanted to get home to his own, you know, family and his bottle of brandy.
Yeah, so it was all of the people that had money within the episode could not fathom how people who didn't have money could have joy.
Right. Or
could give gifts or could, like, participate in the world around them in this way in the holiday. And so outside of those people, all of the rest of them, you could tell all they wanted was to be normal. All they wanted was a normal life.
For one day. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the kind of thing where, like, you've been homeless on Christmas. That's not a thing I've ever dealt with. But last year, I was unemployed on Christmas. I had been laid off in October.
Right.
And so under our tree, where we each got a book from the Dollar Tree.
Nice.
We each got, like, a book of puzzles or kind of fun thing, mazes or crosswords or whatever. And we had a couple of, like, little gifts, and that was it, because we didn't have a lot of money to throw at Christmas last year, and it wasn't a bad Christmas. Like, it was still lovely.
It's not. Absolutely. Giving gifts of any kind feels good. You know, we basically, if you're not demented or psychotic, you know, we love giving gifts to people. We love seeing the face light up, the whole thing, you know, and then seeing that gift be used throughout the year. That's absolutely wonderful.
Yes, and it was so nice to make gifts for people last year at a time when I didn't have a ton of money.
Right.
So I spent like $75, $80 on the equipment and the items to make gifts for 20 people.
Yeah.
And so that went so much farther than a normal Christmas gift. And what I ended up doing was on my husband's side of the family is Jewish and Catholic, and my side of the family is very evangelical Christian things. And so I ended up creating bars of soap that were scented with frankincense and myrrh and had gold leaf into them. So they were gold, frankincense, and myrrh bars of soap.
That's amazing.
And so that's what people got last year with a card explaining, I'm sorry, I am so broke right now due to the no job.
Right.
But here is a bar of soap for you, designed for you, based around the things that are important to you.
Right. Wow. And I was in college. My friends, of course, had no money at Christmas. We were college students. So we got very creative. We would like make mixtapes for each other. We would bake cookies or brownies or something, you know, or we would go out to like an actual meal with waiters or waitresses. Like that was a big, you know, that was a big thing, you know, or we would go to a thrift store and we would get like a coat or something like that. Yeah. I mean, there's ways, you know, there's ways around it. And it was the greatest time of our lives.
Yeah, and when I think back on, I've gotten some presents that were expensive and lovely, and I remember them all, and I use them all the time. We have a Nintendo Switch that we got as a gift like 4 or 5 years ago, and we have like one year my parents sent us like a 50-inch flat screen TV.
Wow.
Not this one.
Okay.
But it was lovely, but it ended up breaking like 2 years later. And
Oh,
so we ended up
of
having,
course, when the warranty had expired.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so it was one of those things like, I have gotten some really big, lovely, wonderful gifts from people, things that get regular use and all of that. But by and large, I don't remember what people bought for me.
Right.
I don't remember what I bought for you.
Right.
Until it gets regifted to me and I'm like, hey, this looks familiar.
In fact, your name is still on the tag. What was the best Christmas present you ever got?
The best Christmas present I ever got. I came home from the movies like the day before Christmas,
Mm-hmm.
and a little gray kitten scampered out of my parents' bedroom. And that was Tigger, and he lived a very long, happy, lovely life. And there are pictures of me in the days following carrying that cat everywhere. At one point, I'm in a bathrobe, and I have my hair up in a towel, and the cat is in the towel on top of my head,
Oh my God.
peeking out. So yeah, Tigger was definitely the best Christmas present I ever got.
Awesome.
And what about you?
Oh, mine's geeky. It was a globe. I was 8 years old and I got a globe. And for the first time, I realized there were other places besides my house and my grandmother's house and my aunt's house. Like being able to spin it and look at, around the world. It was one of those relief globes, where you could feel the textures and everything like that. And of course, because it was in 1976, like there were half the countries no longer exist now. They were named other things or taken over. I loved that thing until I lost all my stuff in auction, but it was wonderful. I really loved that. Worst Christmas present I ever got was a pair of leather pants when I was 15. What was my mom thinking? Really, Mom?
There's an entire episode of Friends built around the insanity of leather pants.
Oh God!
You should watch it.
Watch it.
So good.
Okay.
But yeah, so like when you think back, we have these moments of presents and things that we remember, but the vast majority of my Christmas memories are sitting around a table with family, sitting around a tree with family. My family, once the like holiday stuff is over, we get out a deck of cards and our bags of change and we gamble the night away, and it's so fun.
Oh wow!
It's the best way to spend your time.
There you go.
And then like my husband's family has this very like detailed tradition of you go to dinner at a restaurant for Christmas Eve, and then the next morning you all do stockings, and then you all do the presents, and then you all do like it has a specific order it has to go in, and then it culminates in a huge family get together where you fit like 90 of us in one house.
Oh my God.
It's a very large house.
I was gonna say,
but 90 of us, and there is just all of this food and all of these tables.
Nice.
And like one year, we always have a kids' table at the big holiday party.
Mm.
And one year, one of the kids accidentally dropped a napkin into a candle. And all of the kids got up and ran away, except for my kid, who was like, hey, somebody help, there's fire.
Oh God, so hard.
I got up and I went over and I was going to pick it up and put it in a glass. But the second I touched it, it went up in flames.
Oh no.
Poured the water over top of it. I did not soak a table.
Yeah, but still, it's better than having the house burned to the ground. So
yes. So like we have those moments where like we have these big Christmas memories. My daughter will remember that Christmas fire for the rest of her life.
I'm sure.
I don't think she could tell you anything she got for Christmas that year.
Well, I think arson would pretty much overshadow any gift that I got. Great story.
But yeah, so it was so nice to see how Rod Serling kind of brought this all together, and he made the focus on people who needed the focus.
Yes.
He took the focus away from the people who have it and gave it to the people who needed it for 23 minutes in 1961.
It's wonderful.
And I thought that was just really incredible.
Yeah, definitely check that episode out. Season 2, episode 6, I believe.
Yeah, so right in there. It's literally it's the 41st episode of Twilight Zone.
Oh, tell everybody where we're going to be on Saturday.
Yes, we have upcoming, and we may have mentioned this previously, but we are going to be at a winter festival in Salem, Connecticut. And we are so looking forward to it. We hope to see you there. If you have the opportunity to stop by, we will be giving away candy and business cards and all sorts of things. We'll have a not a raffle, but like a prize you can win if you guess the number of pieces of candy in the jar and all that stuff. Please contact us, ask us about the documentaries, ask us about the podcast.
And give us suggestions for things that you'd like to hear about. We always love that,
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you sign up, you'll get a lovely little newsletter. And so it's gonna be awesome. And I'm sure the other vendors are gonna have fabulous things as well.
Yeah, so very exciting.
Yeah.
I hope to see you there on December 6th.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, thanks for listening to Real Stories, Real Problems with your hosts, Rachael and Roxanne. We hope you enjoyed our deep dive into holiday giving and Night of the Meek. Join us again next week for a glimpse into another financial problem and a documentary all about it. If you enjoyed our show today, please remember to like, subscribe, and leave us a review on your podcast app. Thanks for listening. See you again next week.
Bye for now.